Okay, I'm just sorting out the live stream. So today we are going to be flying from here in Haverfordwest on the southwest coast of Wales, and we're going to fly up the west coast through the hills along the coast and then into Eryri, which was formerly known as Snowdonia, and then to Yr Wyddfa, which is the formerly known as Mt Snowdon, but they've changed recently to both the name Snowdonia and Snowdon to the Welsh names of Eryri and Yr Wyddfa. So it should be good fun. We're going to be in Ant's Aeroplane's Tiger Moth for Flight Simulator 24, which is a wonderful version of the Tiger Moth. If you've never seen it before, we're going to see it in a moment. So it should be good fun. Be low and slow all the way, so flying through the fields, over the trees, having a look around, looking at the towns along the way and the villages. So it's the perfect aeroplane to go low and slow with. Let's go and jump in the aeroplane then and see if we can remember how to start this thing up. So I'm just going to go and get rid of the tablet for the moment. So it does have a GPS and a tablet that you can get out of the pocket in the door to prepare yourself to use the aeroplane. We're going to put the fuel on. Always good. I'm just going to go and have a look in the tablet about to see what the settings have been set on. So engine realism, we'll leave it on easy, it's fine. We're just more interested in doing some sightseeing really. Mixture lever, we're going to put on free so we can control the mixture. Pilot is, that's all fine. And again, you just got some shortcuts here to simulate different things in the aeroplane. We're going to leave them as they are. So, first things first then, we're going to go press Shift Space, Alt 8, put the head tracking on. We need to go and turn the ignition switches on there. Just make sure we've got free movement now. So that's rich on the mixture is back. Throttle is the opposite direction. So you can see open and closed. It's quite interesting on the Tiger Moth. Look, you've got a speed. Your airspeed can be measured on the wing over there as a fallback. It's in miles an hour though, you need to remember, so it's knots over here. So we've got RPM, we've got various bizarre instruments which you wouldn't see anymore. You do have the option of switching out the original instruments, but we're going to leave them because I think they're better. I always like things to be a bit period accurate. We have got a compass, we're not going to need it. We're just flying up the coast. Okay, so to start this aeroplane, you don't do it from inside. So we're going to crack the throttle open. And we can use Shift and 2, 3. Everything works on this aeroplane, by the way, so you can go and open the engine up and you can go and fiddle with the engine and do things with it. We're not going to today. I'm going to struggle now to get this to close again, aren't I? Where was the locking point for that? Was it down here, wasn't it? There we go. So if we come around to the prop, you can see here we can pull the prop backwards, but we can also push it forwards. Okay, so it ticks over nicely. So just looking around the aeroplane, obviously we can lift up this side of the engine as well. We've got the side panels all work as well, so you can open and close those. We're going to close that. Okay, so we are at Haverfordwest. So if I just show you that quickly on the map, we're going to go out towards St David's first, and then over to Strumblehead. So just to show you where we are in the airfield. So we are going to go, we've got no wind today. I've turned the wind off because there's a storm raging its way across the UK at the moment. So we'll just double back on ourselves out to runway 03 and then we turn towards the coast. Okay. me just check the volume levels. So yeah, you can hear me over the top of the engine fine. So the Tiger Moth is a historic aircraft in the UK. It was used to train pilots. I think it was the first trainer we had in the armed forces, or among the first trainers. But it's continued to exist. There's still lots and lots of examples around even today, still flying. So this was used around the era of the First World War. It's an amazing aeroplane. So we've got a passenger in the front. We can pretend they're either the mentor or the tour guide. Hi Sarah, what can you tell us about Haverfordwest?
Haverfordwest is a historic market town located in Pembrokeshire, Wales. It boasts a rich history dating back to the Norman conquest, with Haverfordwest Castle being a notable landmark. The castle, built in the late 11th century, offers stunning views of the surrounding area and is a great example of medieval architecture. The town is also known for its picturesque riverside setting along the western Cleddau River, which has played a significant role in its development over the centuries. Today, Haverfordwest serves as a hub for exploring the beautiful Pembrokeshire Coast National Park, attracting outdoor enthusiasts and history buffs alike.
Okay, so the Tiger Moth almost flies itself. Just gently pull back, look, and we're in the air. And there goes our shadow. Let's just get our bearings and figure out how the instruments work in the cockpit. So we are heading off 30 degrees, yeah? So we probably need to adjust this. Trying to find out where the controls are. Oh, here we go. Interesting. Okay, we'll just go visually, it's fine. So what we are going to do, just to make it easier for people to see and easier for me as well, I'm going to look here and say it has got kind of a bizarre autopilot hidden inside it. Okay, we'll have a proper look at this a bit later. Let's have a look on the map. Show you where we are. So we're just heading out towards the coast, and then we'll follow it round to St David's. So St David's is out on the peninsula over there. So the thing the Tiger Moth is going to give us the opportunity to do is to fly really low and slow and appreciate the new scenery in Flight Sim 2024. And just how good it is. Can I recommend a collector, I think you mean collective, for a heli sim? I don't know, I don't really specialise in helicopters, and I've stayed away from them in 2024 so far, because the controls for the controls I've got don't work very well. So Rob is asking, is this the Ants Airplanes Tiger Moth? It is indeed. It's an absolutely wonderful aeroplane in the sim. Very, very good. And yes, it's noisy. Let's just make sure. Yeah, should I turn it down a bit so you can hear me over it easily? There we go. I've toned it down a bit. Okay, so we're making our way over to St David's just to begin with. About halfway there now. I think St David's is on record as the smallest city in the UK. So we're just passing by an airfield. Should we just check where that is? So, not marked on Orbex. I'm guessing it must be Newgale. If we change this to satellite map, there it is. Corder Barracks. Okay. So it's a decommissioned airfield. So Nez is saying thank you for the tutorials. No, you're welcome. The tutorials are what fund me in buying new aeroplanes, so you'll have seen quite often in the past I take a hit for the team and go and buy aeroplanes that maybe aren't the best. That's happened more times than you know, because there's some videos I haven't made. There's one very recently where I've gone back to the marketing people that gave me the aeroplane, and I said, you might want to get the developer to look at this and this before I make a video, because otherwise it's going to get a really bad reaction. I think the best one recently, and I won't mention who or what it was, the parking brake was reversed, which was interesting. Okay, so we can see St David's down here. It's a tiny little place. Let's ask the tour guide. What can you tell us about St David's?
St David, the patron saint of Wales, is celebrated for his pious life and the founding of a monastic community in the 6th century. He is known for his ascetic lifestyle, often eating only leeks and drinking water, which is why leeks are a symbol of Wales. His most famous miracle is said to be when he preached to a crowd so large that the ground rose beneath him to create a hill, allowing everyone to see him. The city of St. David's, which is the smallest city in the UK, is named after him and is home to the stunning St. David's Cathedral, built in his honor in the 12th century. It's a popular pilgrimage site and attracts many visitors who want to explore its beautiful architecture and serene surroundings. So, if you ever find yourself there, don't forget to check out the local legend about how the city was founded.
Okay, so we just follow the main road basically. Which if you side slip, we can see it right there. And there's the town ahead of us. Or city, sorry. Should we come down into the fields? Make it a bit more fun on the way in. Be careful not to hit any trees, because it will kill us. Fold the aeroplane up. Now, I don't know if without Orbeck's scenery, yeah, there should be a cathedral. It looks like they have got a fairly good building. Whether it's accurate, I'm not sure. It's kind of the famous thing about St David's. Yeah, it looks like they've got it accurately. Okay, let's head off up the coast. So first port of call for us will be Strumblehead. So have a look at that on the map. It's quite a way further up. It's probably the spit of land we can see there. So, Nez is saying about PMDG and 747, they're making one. It's in development. There's been news this morning that the upcoming update to Flight Simulator that's in beta at the moment fixes a lot of the issues that was stopping PMDG from releasing their aircraft. So it sounds like they are back on track. So it won't be too long now until the PMDG stable of aircraft are available in Flight Sim 24. Yeah, there is a massive update that's due, that's in beta right now. Sheep. So Mike is saying, do you know why they haven't put more iconic World War I aircraft? This is a common misconception about, as soon as you call the developers they, Asobo make the simulator. And they've made some example aircraft which they give away for free with the simulator. And then a whole world of developers make different aircraft for the simulator. And it's totally down to the decisions of those developers as to what aeroplanes have arrived in the simulator. So I'm guessing most developers, they either have a personal interest in a particular model of aircraft, or they are just looking at the numbers and saying, what are we likely to sell if we develop this aeroplane? The big problem so far, and this may change with 2024 with the new marketplace, the big problem has always been piracy with anything to do with Flight Simulator. Ever since 2020 was released, the piracy has been huge. As soon as any aeroplane comes out, within a day usually it's available for anybody who's unscrupulous to go and get a copy for nothing. Therefore, lots of developers have stopped developing for the simulator, full stop, because it's just not worth it. I did have an argument with one of them. They arrived on a group flight I was on, and I ended up editing the conversation in the group flight. But I likened it to a lemonade stand, because he could see no problem in downloading something for free if it was available. And I said, okay, say you're going past a lemonade stand at the end of someone's drive, and there's some children selling lemonade, and there's nothing they can do to stop you just picking up the lemonade and walking off with it. Would you? And he said it wasn't the same thing, and I said it was exactly the same thing, and he disconnected and left. This scenery is incredible, isn't it? One of the things I really like since 2024 is the patterning in the fields, where you get the crops where you can see. And obviously, if you try and land in it, it's really, really rough, and it will throw the aeroplane all over the place. So you have to pick your field very carefully. Let's go and drop down into a field and have a look at some of these textures a little bit more closely. They're really impressive. Ideally we want a ploughed field, don't we? I mean, look at that. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Try not to actually hit the ground. Otherwise I'll dig in probably, although this has got enormous wheels. So, as I said at the start of the live stream, we're working our way up the coast. We're going to go to Eryri, which formerly known as Snowdonia. So it's the hilly bit, for want of a better term. So the coast of Wales is absolutely beautiful, and as you get further north, it just becomes more and more rugged. And we'll be visiting, we'll probably be about an hour and a half to get there, going at this sort of speed. But we'll be visiting Yr Wyddfa, which is the highest mountain. So we'll go and see how we get on. It might be in the clouds. We may have to revise the weather. So this does have a strange sort of autopilot in this aeroplane, hidden away in its tablet. So we've got a couple of concessions here to the modern world just to make our life easy. So if I did want to go grab something to drink while we're flying along, I could put it on autopilot for a while. So we're coming up to Strumble. So I'm going to turn out towards the coast. I'm not sure if the lighthouse is modelled. It's a famous lighthouse, Strumble Head. So, Malcolm's asking, have I had any news on quality wings? No, I haven't looked. My collar is tangling with the wire from the headphones. I've never had that happen before. I think I've fixed it now, yeah. So we're just going out. I'm not suspecting that the lighthouse will be here. I think there is an add-on from Orbex that will put all the lighthouses in place, but I don't have it installed. No, it doesn't look like it's out there. So we're going to carry on. So the town here on the right, if I just go and consult LittleNavMap, is Fishguard. So we should see some boats around. If Flight Simulator was correct about its modelling of ships in the scenery. I can't see any. I'd expect to see some ferries and things. Unless I haven't got them switched on, of course. We go and have a look. If I go into settings of the simulator and go to online, and where would it be? There's air traffic, live weather, multiplayer. Is it in the graphics settings even? No. Dynamic settings, frame rate? No, that's just to do with... Oh, here we go. Buildings, trees, plants, rocks, grass, water. What about boats and things like that? Road traffic, air traffic, sea traffic, ultra. Okay, so it should be there. So if it was going to be doing it, it would be doing it. Well, I can't see any. So maybe that's not working at the moment in the sim. Maybe that's something else coming in the next update. Because his famous last words, I'll come over the top of the headland, see the jetties, and there'll be boats there. Doesn't look like it, does it? They would be right down here in the bay on these jetties. Okay, so let's go and have a look on the map. I'm going to go and turn this back to terrain view because it's easier to look at. So this is Dinas Cross, just coming up. It's the main road. It wouldn't be good if your head position was linked to an air sound, so you got a roar as you ducked out from behind the canopy. Obviously it helps with head tracking for landing, for example, so you can side slip your way in. We can obviously fly sideways to have a look at what we're flying over. So as you can see, hidden inside the tablet, we've got some various autopilot options. So you've got a wing leveler, heading hold, so you just get it going the direction you want, and it kicks in at the point you switch it on. So we'll just keep going that direction for a while. So we've got altitude hold as well. You can choose the altitude obviously, but don't really need it. It's just good to be able to have a rest, and then we don't have to control it visibly and can have a look around outside. So something was interesting me a moment ago. That's funny, isn't it? So we can move this around between various different locations. I'm just wondering where there's the fuel up there. So that's obviously got a float inside. So that's the main fuel tank above the wings. There's a float inside, and as it descends, the nail, or is it a nail, or is it supposed to be representing something better than that? But it will sink. And that's how you know how much fuel you've got. I think it's 20 gallons up there. So we've used about 2, maybe more, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, one of the things that's really nice about this aeroplane is all the control cables and everything are all animated. Very cool, isn't it? It's quite reasonably priced as well. So it's saying here cruise 75 knots. We're pushing it a bit, aren't we? I don't want to be here all day though. So, on our way to Aberporth, back to go over Cardigan Bay very soon. A well-known holiday spot for lots of families. Should we take that autopilot back off? Go and dip down along the coast. That cow was moving, wasn't it? Must be feeding time. Oh, hello, my dad's turned up in the live stream. Hello. Okay, so this is Cardigan just off to our right. As I said, it's a well-known holiday destination for lots and lots of families. So we're going to carry on north. Just going to turn off the head tracking for a moment. So I can't remember where I got the Ants Aeroplanes Tiger Moth from. It would either have been Orbex or Sim Market, I imagine. Or it could have been Just Flight, I can't remember. You can get it from lots of places. Let's have a look at the map. So we're just going up past Cardigan, we got Aberporth airfield on the right, and then the town down there on the coast. It's a very cool aeroplane, isn't it? Obviously the autopilot just gives me a break for a couple of minutes. So yeah, apparently the marketplace is coming after this serious update. There is a huge update coming for Flight Sim that's in beta right now. After that has been released, the marketplace will be switched on, according to Asobo in the last few days. So yeah, I remember my dad made a balsa wood model of a Tiger Moth when we were young. I remember it well. It had tissue and dope wings. For some reason I have a bizarre memory of the blocks of wood that we used as the bulkheads on the fuselage, and I remember them being sanded to shape. Does it have trim? Let's try it out. So let me go and turn off the magic autopilot. So you see it's rolling left immediately. So if I put some... yeah, it does. It has trim. Which is... all the trim is really doing in a plane like this, you're simulating holding the stick to one side or the other. So you can see there, as I'm moving the trim, it's just gently nudging the stick in that direction. So me touching the trim controls, it's just holding the stick slightly off center. In the real world, you would just move your hand slightly. But obviously I've got really nice weather today to make it easy for myself. If the weather was chucking us around, I would have to be fighting it the whole time. Notice you don't have flaps in this aeroplane. It's common for many biplanes. It doesn't need them. I think the Tiger Moth can basically fly at about 20-25 knots. It's ridiculous how slow you can go. And your takeoff roll can literally be kind of 30-40 feet. It will take off almost immediately if you give it full power and get that airflow over these wings. It doesn't weigh anything. Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody's done wing walking on a Tiger Moth because the wings aren't really built for it. They're not strong enough. And the aircraft would be affected by the weight change quite enormously because it's only little. Look at the size of the pilot there. I guess the only place they might do it is somebody standing on top of the fuel tank. So I don't know what is going to happen with the marketplace in response to everybody's questions. I think everything that had been converted before 2024 came out was grandfathered straight into people's accounts. So there, for example, I've got a lot of planes within my simulator that were brought in, but I think they were the local legends and things like that I'd bought in the past. I guess it's down to the developers. If the developers have converted them for 2024, then they'll be available. But I think aeroplanes need quite a lot of rework in some cases in order not only to take advantage of new features, but also where there have been breaking changes in the way the simulator works. So let's go and put the head tracking back on. Whereabouts are we? Llangranog, going up towards Llanarth, Abereren. It's going to take a little while, so I might put it on autopilot for a while, because we need to get out over towards where we want to be going. So let's stick that autopilot back on. So obviously it's going to just take on the modes I've told it to. So heading hold on, altitude hold on. You can specify the heading. I think it takes it at the time you switch it on. Let's have a little play with that, just to see what capability we do have. So at the moment, our only way easily of finding out, okay, we're at 1,000 feet, but I didn't calibrate that. There we go, so it is 1,000 feet. So say we wanted 2,000 feet, or 1,500 feet. So we can do vertical speed as well then. And it's already doing it, look. So vertical speed hold. Okay, so if you have altitude hold on, it uses the set altitude as the target and uses the vertical speed set here to get there. Obviously you don't do anything in a hurry in this aeroplane. So if you bought this plane for 2020, you can go to where you bought it from and they'll have the new version from Ants Aeroplanes, which is 2024 compatible, because as you can see, I've got it. I think it was in the whichever shop it was, it gave me the option of downloading either version, because I had it previously. But yeah, any software from a third party that you'd bought previously, just go check and see if they've updated them. Several of the shops aren't great at telling customers that they've released the new version, so it's worth going and having a look around all the places you've bought aeroplanes in the past and see what they've got. So Orbex are a classic at that. If you go and look in Orbex and you look in what you've bought, it shows you some of the stuff that's 2024 compatible that you own. If you go and look in Discovery, you'll see even more, like for example airfields, you'll see even more that are available for 2024 that you already own, so you can just go and download them again. So yeah, as David's saying, Just Flight have released a few already. If you bought them previously from Just Flight, you can go to their online website and download the new versions. So no, Lee, this is not live weather. There was howling 35 knot winds across most of Wales, so I've turned it to scattered cloud instead, just to make it look pretty. So I wouldn't imagine FlowPro will have been updated because this underlying simulator is so drastically different. There'll be a ton of work required for things like that, but I may be wrong. Because they've put most things through the tablet now, haven't they? I have been looking into how to write custom applications for the tablet. So I watch this space. You may find at some point an icon available or a download available from me to put procedures in here for different aeroplanes and, you know, guides and things. The only thing that's stopping me at the moment is trying to figure out how to stop piracy in a way that's not onerous on people using it. I was hoping all the way through the life of 2020 actually that Asobo would implement some sort of public key cryptography for add-ons, or some sort of serial repository or something. So Paul, no, I don't work for Asobo. This isn't my day job either. I actually work for a Microsoft partner though. One of the biggest ones in the country. So I work on big corporate systems in the daytime and government systems as well. Can't say any more than that. I work on very boring things like SharePoint and Azure and all the other stuff. Office 365 and automation and things that make people's life a bit easier at work or introduce more capabilities for them. So let's just check what heading we're going. Yeah, so we're going to go over to Machynlleth first. So if we go measure distance, and that will give us a heading. So we want 32 degrees. So using our magic autopilot down here, should turn us to 32 degrees, and there it goes, and we just keep an eye on it. There's a little bit of a crosswind, so it's going to push us across that angle, so we'll end up somewhere over here. I just thought it might be fun to go to Machynlleth and then fly backwards through the valley where the Mac Loop goes. So go up through Corris, Corrisicaf, and then out through Cross, and then obviously out across the Eryri hills, or formerly Snowdonia, and go and see Yr Wyddfa. Sorry, Yr Wyddfa. I've got it still getting it wrong. Am I running the beta? No, I've never run Flight Sim on beta. I've always used the release versions. It kind of frustrates me sometimes. Developers come to me with aeroplanes and say, would you like to do a preview of this aeroplane on the channel? Obviously because they want to take advantage of the audience. And quite often they're an unfinished aeroplane, and I then either find myself in a situation of having to show people things that are broken, which never plays well, or trying to skirt around the bits and pieces that don't work yet. So it makes it a really difficult situation for everybody. Right, I'm going to leave this flying in a straight line for a while then, as we head off towards the hills, and I'm going to go make a quick coffee. Just check we are going straight. Yeah, we're going exactly on the course we wanted, which is always good. I'll be back in a few minutes. So Paul's asking, how do I have it trimmed so well? Just before I go and make my coffee, by magic, there's an autopilot built into the Tiger Moth, so you don't have to hand fly it all the time if you don't absolutely want to. Okay, I'm back. So we go hand fly for a while. This is the Ants Aeroplanes Tiger. Just looking at Lee's comment there. More sheep. So we are flying past Haverfordwest. Should we go and have a circle over the town? You know, I am wondering why I am not seeing any boats around at all. Is there a problem with Flight Sim? I've got it all switched on in the scenery. I am not seeing any. Let me go and have a look in traffic again. Is there something I've not got switched on somewhere? Online. Photogrammetry is real-time online for aircraft traffic. Obviously, this is not aircraft we're talking about, though. Where would the boats be? We saw in graphics way further down, so you got the dynamic, or was it global? So boats are on ultra, sea traffic, ultra. I'm just not seeing any anywhere. Maybe it doesn't cover the whole world for some reason yet. They wouldn't have put it somewhere else, would they? So accessibility or something crazy like that. It's just incredibly frustrating. No, I can't think it's going to be anywhere else. It's slightly panoramic, isn't it? I've just zoomed in slightly to counter it, so it's not so panoramic. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the river because the boughs of the trees encroach too much on the river for us to take any risks of going down to the water. It's just too narrow for us. It's a nice idea though. Maybe we skim this field on the way. Football pitches. Rugby posts. Pylons hiding in the trees for unsuspecting low-level aviators. Hey, back on our way to Machynlleth. Let's just level the plane out. It's coming up to 1,500 feet. How are we doing for fuel? Used about half of it so far. And how far have we got so far? About halfway. So if we're careful with leaning it out as we fly along over Snowdonia, we should be okay. Just about, maybe. Yeah, we've got a little bit more than half a tank. Okay, we're slowly getting that. So we're going to turn into the valley in a moment. So from here we want to be travelling 45 degrees basically. And this will bring us straight in over the top of Machynlleth. So I think the issue with labels is people not understanding the relationship between live weather and the live settings. There seems to be a linkage there in the simulator between the two. So you need to be really careful. If you go, so say you say all players and then you come into the simulator, I've seen this happen, and you go to live weather, it also switches on live on the multiplayer and you lose sight of everybody. So I'm just looking, that's the Mac Loop, isn't it, there? And that's the big hill where you make the turn into the flat valley to go around the back. You can actually see it, look. So if we show this on a map, if I remove these measurements, so yeah, when you normally come around the Mac Loop, you fly up here, so there's the way in, there's Corris Corner, and then there's the wiggly bit as it goes going down through Panpertog, and then so Fruitgate, you turn left and then follow the flat of the valley all the way back round until you get to Dinas Mudwy. So yeah, this is that sloping hill. You can see there's the wiggle. We're going to fly up it. We're going to go the wrong way up it. So let's go and get the head tracking on and autopilot off. Should we stall it in a straight line and see what happens? So airspeed's falling off. How slow will the Tiger Moth go? 40 knots. 35 knots. 30 knots. And it's mushing downwards. Isn't that amazing? So we'll let it fall. 60, 70. So we can see Machynlleth coming. So you're going to see much better detail around here because Asobo have had higher resolution scans. So the ground is going to be better. So let's go and circle around this and show you it. So, you know, where they've got better data, they've used it, and it does make an enormous difference. So this is Machynlleth, the name of the place that the Mac loop takes its name from. Imagine living here and having the fast jets come whizzing around that corner all day long. That's the church. And the town. So we're going to go backwards up the Mac loop route, but at low level and with time to actually look around. Yeah, that car was doing about 80, wasn't it? Okay, so which way do we go here? I presume this way. Yeah. Just check where we are. Okay, we're coming up to Corris. So you'll see the main valley out ahead of us in a moment. There we go, there's Corris. Normally you go whistling over this at like 400 knots and don't get to see any of it. We're coming through at 60 knots. Okay, this is the main valley at the end. I'll show you on the map. So I'm going to go back through the gap back towards Cross. Try and get some speed up. I bet that road is a lot steeper, or you know, in real life it seems a lot steeper than it looks here, because it climbs all the way up the side of this valley and out through the pass at the top, doesn't it? So look, those cars are doing 80 miles an hour because we're holding pace with them, or doing 70 at least. Okay, full throttle. Let's see what we can do. Just picking up speed. So, Steve is saying, hoping to see you do the loop in the jet. I've got several videos doing the Mach loop in a variety of different aeroplanes. The Tornado and all sorts of things. Even the Starfighter. The Hawk, the Just Flight Hawk. I will admit I have a huge soft spot for the Starfighter. I think it's fantastic. Right, so we're going to head back out across the hills then towards Snowdonia. So the direction we want to be going is going to be about 340 degrees then. So we'll start turning towards it. and we'll get a little bit of altitude, so maybe 2,000 feet. Okay, so autopilot master on, heading hold on if I can click it. So 340 degrees we want. So we're holding 1,000 feet at the moment. We're going to need more than that though. So if we were to do this specific line, so measure this, so add that to our position, we're going to cheat. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in a moment. I'm going to show the profile on here. So we need at least 1,500 feet to clear the hills. So we're going to get the aeroplane to climb to 1,500 feet at 500 feet a minute. And then we can just enjoy the scenery as it does it. I'll turn off the head tracking so I can drink my coffee and read the comments. Straight over. Is that Transfinid? Is that how you say it? So where is Transfinid along the way? So these hills now are not called Snowdonia anymore. They used to be, but it's all been agreed about a few months back that it's all been changed on maps and everywhere else. It's now Eryri, which is the place of the eagles, as far as I understand it. So notice the trees have changed. We've got a different sort of tree. No, it's changed back again. No, they're interspersed with the trees we had before. There's a different type of tree down there, or a shrubbery, I guess, in amongst the trees. So you can see Snowdon is right up in the clouds. Look, we will have to change the weather. Sorry, not Snowdon, is it? It's Yr Wyddfa. Well, the funny thing, Steve, is it was Eryri before it was Snowdonia, and it was Yr Wyddfa before it was Snowdon. And yeah, it's not really the new name. It's new to us because we renamed it. It's gone back to its original name, or the name that the native people called it before we arrived. So there is an element that's correct about what David has said there. if I have traffic on, I get people trying to appear in the shot all the time. But in this case, I had just left it on live. So I'm guessing if you have it on live, you will appear. Having said that, I went in live and then turned the weather off, because the real weather is absolutely atrocious. If we go and have a look and hover over an airfield, yeah, well look, we've got 150 degrees, 17 knots, gusting 31 knots at Caernarfon. In other words, horrific. So I'm going to take a few degrees off of our heading. So Simon is saying that it's damaged his cafe business. Is your business named after Snowdon then? Or Snowdonia? So Shoestring Media is asking, is it part of the British Empire? That's a complicated question. It's part of the United Kingdom, but Wales is a semi-independent country in its own right. I'm not sure what the proper terminology for it is, but Wales is a country in its own right. It receives, it has a relationship with England and is part of the United Kingdom. Every few years this subject comes up in the press, and they love a good bun fight in the press, so they try to make more of it than it actually is. That, you know, claiming that the Welsh people want independence from England entirely. This happens in Scotland a lot as well, but, you know, and in the last decade it's happened a lot. But I think it's a difficult one, and I don't know enough about it to speak knowledgeably about it, so I'm not going to. Yeah, so as Steve is saying, Wales has its own government. So it's a semi, that's why I said a semi-independent country, because the ties between the two are so close. It's complicated. It becomes even more crazy in that we have independent football teams, for example. But then when you go to the Olympics, it's the Great Britain team. So Great Britain not being the same thing as the United Kingdom. Like I said, it's complicated, and I don't fully understand all of it myself. I don't think many people do. I'm not getting into politics on the channel, so please don't anybody start talking about NHS or anything like that. Okay, so let's have a look at our route in towards the mountain. So it would make sense for us to, unless we start climbing now, it might make sense for us to go and circle on our way. Let's go and check how much fuel we've got before we do that. Still got half a tank. I've leaned it out quite a lot, although if we gain altitude we can lean out more. So that plays to our strengths. So let's go up to 2,500 feet. So again another 1,000 feet. And we may raise the cloud ceiling. Otherwise we won't be able to see anything. because it's sod's law that there will be, yeah, you can see there is cloud around the top of the mountain. If we go into the weather control and go and see, whoa, let's just go into live weather. Look, I'll just turn it back off. See, there are bugs in the weather controls. All I did was pulled up the weather panel and it switched it somehow to live weather. So all I wanted to know was what the ground level is, or what the ceiling, sorry, is of the bottom. It says 1,500 feet bottom for that one, 13,000 for the next lot. So should we raise that? It's quite funny, isn't it, being able to do that? Can you see that happening? So if we take it up to 3,000 feet, we should be fine. How are we doing for speed? We're not fast enough, are we? That sudden burst of wind slowed us down, and because we're still in a climb until we get another 100 feet altitude, we're right on the stall limit. You can see the planes hunting around, but when we get this last 100 feet done, we'll start to pick the speed back up. I'm just playing with the mixture to see what's happening to the RPM needle. So I pulled the mixture right back now. Managed to lean it out a lot. And the speed is creeping back up. Cool. So the water we just passed over was Tros-Finid, is that? Quamordin waterfall is at the other end of the lake. So does this lake have it? Oh, it's a reservoir, not a lake. Tanigrisio. So ahead of us we should see, there it is, Mt Snowdon as it used to be called, now known as Yr Wyddfa. I'm quite surprised that this scenery is low resolution. I would have thought it would have been higher resolution than this, unless it's just not loading it for whatever reason. So let's go and hand fly for a while. So go fly along the ridge. Look at the scree slopes with the rocks tumbling down the edges. Very cool. So how far are we actually away from it? About 5 miles from the peak. If we start climbing, before we get too close, although we could circle it to climb. It really doesn't make much difference. So we're coming up towards the cloud base. That's, well, the lowest I told it to put them at, which was 3,000 feet. But it appears that at this area they're higher than that, so we're fine. I'm still climbing. Unfortunately, the Tiger Moth, we may not be able to get up there easily. I'm giving it a bit more of a rich mixture. Maybe I'd leaned it out a bit too much. So, does this hill have a name that we're just passing? Not on this map, but and no doubt in the real world it does if I had the correct kind of maps available to me. Coming up to 3,000 feet. Look at that scenery. That's something else, isn't it? And there's Yr Wyddfa. So by the time we get to the other end of, if we fly clockwise around it, by the time we get past it, we should be high enough. Or we've been hit by a little bit of turbulence. The wind isn't very strong, but it's enough to be noticeable. Keeping an eye on the indicated airspeed. I don't want to get too slow. Obviously we can just turn left and fall away from the peak, but ideally I'd love to circle it and show you it. So what I'm going to do is actually circle left. Look at the quarry works on the hill across the way. So we're going to turn across the sun and get to this wonderful view out over the peninsula. It's amazing, isn't it? We're doing fine for fuel. So there's the peak. peak of Yr Wyddfa. Okay, so we have more fuel left than I thought we were going to have. So where shall we go out of here? I guess we could come down this valley, Llanberis, over the water. Might be fun. So I straighten up. And we'll come past these earthworks. And then loop round towards Caernarfon, which is over just on the coast over there. So if we sideslip this with some healthy amount of aileron and rudder, we can hold the airspeed while descending really steeply down the hillside. Yeah, so look at the indicated airspeed. We're going sideways. We're aiming that way. Something the Tiger Moth is very good at is side-slipping. I'm just unwinding the rudder gently. Peaks way back up there. Those earthworks are huge, aren't they? Should we go and have a look? It's a shame they haven't got proper assets for the buildings. They've just got AI plonked in. Here we go, look, we've got some high resolution scans of the scenery here. Makes a difference, doesn't it? Okay, how are we doing for fuel? Get paranoid as soon as I'm below half a tank. Should we loop around over this way? just descending in towards Caernarfon. So just across the water over there is Anglesey. I'll show you on the map. Yeah, so Anglesey Island. We actually visited last year, had a weekend away, or yeah, was it a weekend? No, a week away. Stayed for a week on Anglesey, it was fantastic. We actually went to Holy Island, which is just off the corner of Anglesey, so even more remote is that little bit there. A little place called Roscollin. So let's go and ask the tour guide what she's going to say about Caernarfon. She should mention kings and queens. Hi, what can you tell us about Caernarfon?
Caernarfon is famous for its impressive castle, built by Edward I in the late 13th century as part of his campaign to conquer Wales. The castle is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is known for its massive walls and towers, which are a great example of medieval military architecture. The town itself is also steeped in history, being the site of the investiture of the Prince of Wales. If you look closely, you might even see some of the local fishermen along the harbor, which has been a hub of activity for centuries. It's a great spot for history buffs and those who appreciate stunning views of the surrounding landscape.
There you go. There's a house just across the water on Anglesey. I think it's the Paget family. They're famous because at Waterloo, the patriarch of the family had his leg shot off, or lower part of his leg shot off. And there's I think it's an apocryphal tale, but he told, or he exclaimed to Wellington at the time, "Good God, sir, I've lost my leg." And Wellington is supposed to have returned with, "Good God, sir, so you have." So I haven't got the custom scenery for this area, so we're not going to see the castle, unfortunately. It would be over here. I don't think we will. There'll be an AI house where the castle should be. We'll just go and have a quick look, because Orbex haven't released Caernarfon yet. They did have scenery in 2020 for Caernarfon, which had the castle fully modelled. Or am I wrong, or is it actually here? Maybe it's here as part of the UK upgrade then. Yeah, so the castle is here. Okay. So it's Caernarfon Airport that I won't have a good version of then. So I tell a lie then. So Caernarfon Castle is here, courtesy of the UK scenery. The stock UK scenery in Flight Simulator. That being said, it wasn't full, or I don't remember the streets looking quite like that near it. But anyway, so you should see a lawn at this end, which is where the Prince of Wales became Prince of Wales when he was young. Yeah, there we go. Look, there's the rotunda. The crowds of all of the monarchs and everybody would have been down there. Probably seen old archive footage of it happening. It's a great castle to go visit. There's an awful lot of it left, if that makes sense. Okay, let's carry on down the coast then and go and land and finish this epic slow speed trawl across the west coast of Wales. So we're heading towards Caernarfon airfield, which is just on this spit of land out here. I'll show you on the map. Okay, so we're going to circle it and then figure out where we're going to land. But Orbex do make, or Orbex don't make it themselves, but I think it might be Burning Blue or something like that. There is a really nice airfield for Caernarfon. I'd have to check. It might not be Burning Blue because they've already converted all of theirs, unless Orbex are just being really slow about updating them. Thanks, Dave. Just looking at your comment there for about a good landing, hopefully. Well, the thing is, you can go so slowly in the Tiger Moth, you could land on a patch of dirt somewhere pretty accurately. You don't have to go for a runway, really. Any field will do. Any flat field. Obviously, when the scenery comes out for Caernarfon, I will return here. I might question whether it actually has windmills in the middle of the airfield. That seems a bit dangerous to me, especially so close to the runway. I don't think that's quite true. So I'm going to loop round to the right over the water. There we go.
Tiger Moth Alpha 1758, Baldonnel Tower, contact ground on 121.755.
I'm not actually going to use the radio today, but that's interesting that they called us out. We must have been by luck on the right frequency for the tower. That's interesting. I'm not sure if the taxiway goes all the way around or if we just cut across the grass. We'll behave. As I said, there is a lovely version of Caernarfon Airport available, or that will be available when it gets converted for 2024. I wonder if we can fit in between these two. There we go. That was the Tiger Moth. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So we haven't really got, apart from these battery-powered devices in the cockpit, there's nothing else powered. It's quite straightforward. So you can just click down in here to put the devices back away. If you click in the right places, obviously. I'm going to leave the GPS out. I can't be bothered to fix that. So, there we go. That's the Ants Airplanes Tiger Moth in Flight Simulator. And you saw there a trip from Haverfordwest all the way up the west coast, across the Eryri hills, and then we visited the summit of Yr Wyddfa, which used to be called Snowdon. I'll see you all again soon. Take care.